Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's Lean Bites. I'm Jason Buck. I'm a business development director here at Lean Techniques. I hope everybody's summer's off to a great start. And for those of you who will have kids at home all summer, just remember that our beverage fridge is always stocked. So come visit us anytime you need a getaway. If this is your first time here, welcome. Lean Bites are a short 16 minutes talk where our experts provide you with simple, practical tips and techniques that you can start applying within your organization today. So a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions throughout the talk today, just drop them in the chat and we'll address them at the end if time allows, or we can offer more insight in an email follow-up. And number two, at the end of once you close out of the Zoom, a survey will automatically pop up. So your feedback is very, very important to us. If you could just take a couple seconds to fill that out, that would be fantastic. So with that, we'll get started. I am very excited to introduce my friend and professional software consultant with Lean Techniques, Brian PapaBear Gerhards, talking about early cloud habits and creating chaos at scale. So Brian, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Buck. Yeah, as you said, my name is Brian Gerhards. I am a software consultant over at Lean Techniques. And we're going to be talking a bit about early cloud habits creating chaos at scale. So see if I can get crunch all this in at once. Feel free and reach out to me at the end if you want to chat more about it, or if there's any specific points you want to go forward with in conversation. But right, so cloud was supposed to make things easier for us, and in many ways it definitely does. One thing that we don't consider is when our environment grows to mission critical infrastructure, the flexibility that once helped us fuel the innovation of what we're trying to do can start to feel like the Wild West. So as teams move fast, what happens when you don't have the right guardrails? So some things are your costs are going to spiral, security gaps are going to emerge, and your performance is going to take a hit. And often organizations do not realize the full impact until it's too late. So today we're going to explore some of those cloud habits, the ones that are going to create chaos at scale, more importantly, how to course correct. So we're going to go at a high level, hit on some of those, go from there. So just some numbers to kind of put with this to talk about why this is important. In 2023, Gartner predicted that 80% of companies will overspend their cloud budget by as much as 20 to 50% through 2024. And I realize I'm reading this off to you, but this is some pretty cool stuff. And that was due to the lack of optimized cloud governance. Flexera in 2024, as part of their State of the Cloud report, they estimated that organizations waste about 28% of cloud spend as part of a survey. The numbers that I found that they provided in 2023, $600 billion was spent across all providers. And so 28% of that is roughly $168 billion. Now, I would love to have that money in my pocket. So, but that's why this stuff is important. So first thing we're going to look at is the danger of over-reliance on manual processes. So as you're beginning your cloud journey, one of the things that I'm going to recommend and everyone's going to recommend is to get your hands dirty and learn how to build things. But understand that that is not scalable. As you get in, you start building things, learn how things work and find ways to automate the creation of those. It's very important to be able to create consistency. As your environment grows, those one-off tweaks that you might be making, if you're doing everything manual, they can create inconsistencies across the environment that are very hard to spot and even harder to fix later. So have you ever heard you're asking how something works and their answer might be, I don't know, but don't touch it because it works? Well, when that person wins the lottery, you're screwed, right? So now we're not going to get into the bus analogy. I talked to Alec about this a little bit ago and he asked me to tame it down. So that person wins the lottery. You most likely do not have documentation of how that's working. So your organization needs to spend time creating resources to learn. Again, work on automation, get those. One thing that I'd recommend as part of the manual creation process, rather if you have a new environment or an existing environment, start creating a sandbox environment or a development environment, something that you can beat up, something that you can completely tear down and does not impact your business. So as part of that, it will cost money, but there are programs that are available by all providers that are going to help reduce that overall cost of these resources for the sake of learning. And you do get less support, which is okay. It's production. You don't need to keep it up and running all the time. But it's also going to help you to innovate, just to move forward. And they can provide credits. You can work with your provider to see what options are available to you. And of course, the more you spend overall in your entire cloud infrastructure, the more leeway they provide you with those. So with that, takeaway on this is do not be afraid to experiment. Just don't experiment in production. Create a sandbox, create an environment that you can work in. Uh, Automate your infrastructure. So using infrastructure as code solutions, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit, to be able to move you forward, to be able to create consistencies in all environments. You will have differences in each of those, but it's going to be predictable differences. It's not going to be, hey, Mr. Person went in there and flipped a switch and now it's not working in production. Why? It's working in dev. Well, there you go. Awesome. Next thing we're going to talk about a little bit is budget vaporization. And I might be talking a little too fast. I apologize. Uh we're working on 16 minutes, but we'll get what we can in here. Budget vaporization gets into the idea that it's very tempting to buy the biggest, most expensive resources that you can, and just in case you need it. Imagine that you buy a mansion, but you only need a 3-bedroom house. Now, I would love to have a mansion, but do I really want to continue the upkeep on that? Do I want to continue? Uh, I would love to have the land. We'll just say that. Cloud providers offer you a huge range of types of resources and tiers. So what does that mean? So I'm more familiar with Azure than I am the other ones. You can have a function app, you can have a web app, you can have a virtual machine. All of them can solve the same problem. Do you really want to spend the money for a virtual machine? If I can do it with a function, I know what, 1 million instances in a day for free, something like that. So now, understandably, everyone's situation's a little different, but the best thing to do at this point is understand the resources that are available to you and the different tiers and the SKUs. So some of those also provide advanced features. So you're paying for a Lamborghini version when a modest sedan would do. Getting a little more into the cheesy analogies that I have written down. So the smarter approach is to start smaller and scale up. Yep, start smaller, scale up when you need to, and monitor so you know when you need to actually scale up. You're going to reduce the amount of money you're spending. You're going to reduce the complexity of having to understand the resource that you have on there and maybe reasons why things are going sideways. Infrastructure as code, you probably have less setup as well. And so just depending on which resource you use. There are a lot of benefits of just understanding and using the minimum that you really need to. And the cool thing with cloud providers, they're okay taking your money to scale up. So take advantage of that when you need to. You don't need it today. Let's talk about neglected tagging and naming conventions. Uh, so without clear tags and consistent names, cloud environments quickly turn into a confusing tangle. Finding resources, tracking costs, even just understanding what something does is it for yourself as an existing user or for new people coming into your organization. Cloud providers include documentation for recommending naming standards, and there are best practices out there for just basic tags that you want to use. Naming your resources provides a quick glance at what the resource type is, the specific region it's going to be in, what application it's for, and then you can start also translating those things into tags to start creating smarter budgeting and to be able to get a quick glance at the overall cost of everything for individual applications or environment. I put a quick screenshot in here of a naming convention that came straight from Microsoft documentation. So this one shows the resource type is the first thing in there for organization standpoints. Next one is your application, your environment, your region, and instance. Now, I don't ever use instance because I use the applications to scale up, but I know there are uses for it uh, if you want to deploy those out right away. Now, for DR, for disaster recovery, it is nice to have the region in there as well, so you can deploy out to multiple regions and use a load balancer or some sort and a gateway to be able to manage moving between the regions depending on if a region is up or not. So naming can help just quickly identify those things for you as well. Quick takeaway is your good governance, enforced tagging and naming is like labeling everything in a shared kitchen. It makes resources easy to manage, easy to secure, and easy to clean up later. Create governance policies with tools provided by your provider. One, for instance, is Azure policies. And a nice little Alec Harrison quote: creating tags is the single most important way to know where your money is going. Compliance and security debt accumulation. So when you're moving fast early on, it's easy to take shortcuts to keep things running, but those add up. We call this compliance and security debt. It means that risk piles up and fixing it later is much more expensive. Having too broad of permissions, public facing endpoints, missing policies, things that are going to be securing and reducing the amount of risk for people with malicious intent. Uh, these also create a mountain of debt that can be costly and stressful to fix later. So it's easier to bake in compliance and security from the start, but it's never too late. You can get those in now. And one way to do that is to start looking into cloud landing zones. Now, it's a concept that's used across all of them. Rather, if it's something that's baked into a service, like AWS has a service, and I'll have that name in just a minute. And Google Cloud and Azure have it as a concept of something, and they provide you with guidance on how to move forward with these. Uh, if it's if it's a new one, they do have some boilerplates that you can hop into. Speaking for Azure, I don't know about Google. Google provides you a lot of guidance on that one. This is an example of a very complex one, but I enjoy this picture. It's part of Microsoft documentation. I wish they would have shown something a little smaller, but this gives you an idea of on-prem and multiple resources across, how they're starting to group things together and think of things from a security standpoint. Azure, as I mentioned, Azure and Google incorporate the landing zone as part of your cloud adoption framework. And then AWS, it's called the control tower. So take a look at your landing zones, automate your guardrails and security and compliance. All right, the long tail of unused resources. So for this one, your cloud environments grow quickly, and so do the graveyards of unused resources. And these are getting to be a little cheesy. So as you start building up these resources, sometimes, again, if they're manually made, it's really easy to keep things around. And why would you keep things around? Now, that's a good question to ask yourself later, because Yagni, you ain't gonna need it. But it might have just been something that you were trying to solve a problem and you felt like you were really close. You moved on to the next thing and you said, in case I need this, I'm gonna keep it around. I think that's a great advocate for a sandbox environment. Something again that you can just beat up, you can blow away later. Don't do it in production. But sometimes these do happen in production, even if you're using infrastructure as code. So as part of maybe how do we get rid of these? Monitor your applications, create methods for regularly auditing and create cleanup campaigns. So if you can monitor and check usage of applications, that's going to probably be a very good indicator if something needs to be blown away or not. If it hasn't been used in a month, hasn't been used in 6 months, those are pretty good indicators. They do have built-in tools for creating rules to help you audit your resources and getting to the point of what you actually want to look at and what your rules are. You can create those, bake those right in. Awesome. We have a few more slides. Next one's the role of infrastructure as code and automation and taming complexity. So as we talked about earlier, manual processes may work when you're small, but they don't scale. So using something like as infrastructure as code So infrastructure as code is the idea of actually writing code to mem to is as the excuse me. It's the idea of writing code to create in a way that is going to tell something how you want your resources created. So instead of you going in and clicking buttons, filling out forms, you have the configuration, you have the code, uh, all within your code base. And you're going to run that code and it's going to do its thing and create it for you. It's going to create, modify, delete anything it needs to do. So it provides you with a consistent way to build your infrastructure in the cloud. You can use your sandbox to manually create your resources, figure out what your configuration is that you need in your other environments, plop it down in code, let it rip. So this is a nice way of building documentation also, so that again, when someone wins the lottery, you're not missing out on what had happened. Here are some infrastructure as code tools. So there are some that are baked into the different cloud platforms: AWS CloudFormation, Google Cloud Deployment Manager, and Azure Resource Manager. Those are ones that are built in. I believe all three of these also have other tools that make it even easier than the ones that I have mentioned here, but I thought I'd go as deep as I could. And then we also have two other examples, and there are many more, Terraform and Pulumi. And I hope I said that right, but they can, Pulumi, and they can publish out to all of the cloud providers that you need them to. And the nice thing is you set it up once, you create all your resources, you're moving from one cloud provider to another one. You already have the configuration. Now you just need to create your resources in those and have your stuff deployed out. So the takeaway on this one: infrastructure as code helps you define once what you want to actually build from a code perspective and deploy once. Automates reliability and compliance, unlocks confidence scaling without chaos, provides free documentation. So a nice little cheesy analogy: it's a difference between the Wild West homestead and a well-ordered ranch. So that's all I have for you today. Again, I'm Brian. Feel free and reach out to Lean Techniques if you're interested in getting some help with your cloud, because it's hard, and we realize that. And the larger it is, the harder it is to back up to a nice secure place. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Not to mention, for any environmentalists out there, $168 billion. I can't even put how much electricity that means to run these things, right? So, win-win across the board. Don't see any other questions. So if you have anything that you want to go to PapaBear, to Brian with directly, you've got his information. This will all be sent out to everyone as well. So with that, I will say thank you for attending. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and we'll have some information coming out on what we're doing in August for Lean Bites. Thanks, everybody. Have a great summer.